The night this story first hit my screen, I honestly thought it was fake. One of those dramatic headlines you scroll past at 2 a.m. and forget 5 seconds later. An American Idol star, someone millions of us watch chase a dream in real time, quietly admitting they walked away because they were terrified. Not tired, not bored, not creative differences, terrified. That word stuck in my chest, because people don't leave the biggest stage of their lives unless something is seriously wrong. And the deeper I went, the more I realized this wasn't just another celebrity sob story. This was about fear, control, and a system that looks shiny on TV but feels very different when the cameras stop rolling. Before we go any further, let me be real with you for a second. I've been reading through your comments on the last few videos, and I see some of you calling out the drama. I get it, truly. In a world full of scripted TV, fake headlines, and AI-generated nonsense, it's hard to know what's actually real anymore. I felt the same way when I first saw this story. I rolled my eyes, assumed it was exaggerated, and almost moved on. But then I started digging into old interviews, live streams, deleted posts, and the footage people stopped talking about. And what I found honestly messed with me. Before we get into the heavy stuff, I'm doing this to bring the truth to light, so if you care about real stories behind the fame, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. That's how we keep this space honest and human. Now, let me take you back to the beginning, because this didn't start with fear. It started with hope. When this singer first auditioned for American Idol *, they were exactly the kind of contestant America falls for. Small town roots, big voice, and that shaky confidence that makes you want to root for them immediately. You could see it in their hands when they held the mic. You could hear it in the way their voice cracked, not because they were bad, but because they cared so much it almost hurt. The judges loved it. The audience loved it. Social media exploded overnight with clips titled things like, "Next American Idol Winner." And, "This voice gave me chills." And for the first time in their life, everything felt possible. They talked about growing up broke. About singing in their bedroom to drown out arguments in the next room. About working dead-end jobs and being told, over and over, that music was a nice hobby, but not a real future. American Idol wasn't just a show to them. It was the door they'd been knocking on their whole life, finally opening. Week after week, they survived eliminations. The fanbase grew fast. TikTok edits, fan accounts on Twitter, Reddit threads dissecting every performance. People were already planning victory speeches for someone who hadn't even made the finale yet. And on camera, they looked grateful, emotional, overwhelmed in the best way. But here's the first layer people missed. Behind the scenes, the pressure started tightening almost immediately. They later admitted that once the cameras stopped, the tone changed. Suddenly, every move was watched. What they wore, what they posted, who they talked to, what they said in interviews. At first, it felt normal. Of course there are rules, they told themselves. This is TV, but the rules kept multiplying, and the consequences started feeling heavier. They weren't just told to sing well. They were told how to be. Producers would pull them aside and say things like, "America needs you to be more emotional," or, "Don't smile so much, it makes your story less believable," or, "Lean into the struggle more." People love that. Imagine being told to reshape your personality for ratings, while millions of people think they're seeing the real you. That messes with your head fast. Still, they pushed through. Because quitting wasn't an option. Not when their family was watching. Not when fans were sending messages saying, "You saved my life with that song." Then came the second layer, and this is where things started to feel wrong. During one rehearsal week, they were sick. Like, visibly not okay. Voice strained, body exhausted, anxiety through the roof. They asked for a break. Just a little time to recover. What they got instead was a warning. Not yelling, not threats, just a calm, icy reminder that there were plenty of other contestants ready to take their spot. That's when fear quietly entered the room. From that point on, they stopped speaking up. They sang through pain. They smiled through panic attacks. They convinced themselves this was the price of success. And on TV, they looked fine. Better than fine. Judges praised the growth. Fans said they were glowing. But off camera, they started having nightmares. Waking up shaking, heart racing before performances, not from excitement, but from dread. And here's where the internet later split in half. When rumors first surfaced that this contestant left American Idol voluntarily, fans went to war online. On TikTok, some people said they couldn't handle the pressure. Fame isn't for everyone. On Twitter, others fired back, you don't just quit Idol unless something bad happened. Reddit threads turned toxic fast. One comment with thousands of upvotes said, this feels like another attention grab. Another replied, or maybe the show isn't as wholesome as you think. I know what you're thinking. Reality TV has always been tough. Contestants know what they sign up for. But wait until you hear the third layer. Months after leaving the show, during a quiet live stream with barely a few hundred viewers, the singer finally cracked. No PR team, no dramatic music, just a tired face and a shaky voice. Someone in the chat asked, do you regret leaving Idol? And instead of giving a safe answer, they went silent. Like, uncomfortably silent. Then they said, I didn't leave because I wanted to. I left because I was scared of what staying was doing to me. That clip didn't go viral right away. It took fans clipping it, reposting it, arguing over it. Some people said they were exaggerating. Others said, look at their eyes. That's not fake. And the singer didn't clarify. They just logged off. That silence spoke louder than any headline. Later interviews revealed more cracks. They talked about feeling watched all the time. About being afraid to say no. About losing control over their own voice, not musically, but mentally. They said there were moments they felt trapped, like their life wasn't theirs anymore. But the scariest part wasn't the workload. It was the fear of being erased. They admitted they were warned, indirectly, that walking away could mean losing everything. Industry connections, future opportunities, support. People don't like difficult artists, they were told. And in an industry built on compliance, that's a terrifying thing to hear when you're just starting out. This is where fans really turned on each other. Some said, that's just business. Others said, that's manipulation. TikTok comments were brutal. One said, cry me a river, you got famous. Another replied, fame isn't worth losing your mind. And through all of this, the singer stayed mostly quiet. No lawsuits, no expose, just distance. Which brings us to the fourth layer, the one that made my stomach drop. A former contestant from a completely different season chimed in. Out of nowhere. In a now deleted tweet, they wrote, if you know, you know. Leaving was the bravest thing they could have done. That tweet was gone within hours. Screenshots spread anyway. Then another former contestant commented on a podcast, carefully choosing their words, saying, people don't understand how intense it gets. It's not just singing, it's psychological. They never named names, but they didn't have to. Suddenly, the story wasn't about one person anymore. It was about a pattern. Fans started revisiting old seasons. Contestants who disappeared, winners who vanished, runners-up who openly struggled years later. Reddit threads connected dots that had been ignored for years. And the narrative shifted from weak to wounded. Still, none of this explained why the singer used the word terrifying. Until the final layer came out. In a recent interview that barely got coverage, buried under bigger celebrity news, the singer finally explained it. Not directly, not dramatically, almost casually. They said, there were moments I didn't recognize myself anymore. I was scared that if I stayed, I wouldn't survive it. And I don't mean my career. Let that sink in. They weren't afraid of losing fame. They were afraid of losing themselves. Afraid of what constant pressure, control, and silence were doing to their mental health. Afraid that staying would push them somewhere they might not come back from. That's when everything clicked. The terror wasn't about the show. It was about the cost of staying quiet while slowly breaking. And here's the part that truly broke the internet once people paid attention. After leaving American Idol *, their career didn't die. It slowed. It got quieter. But it got real. They started releasing music on their own terms. Smaller stages. Smaller crowds. But genuine smiles. In recent clips, they look lighter. Happier. Alive. So now I want to ask you something. If you were in their position, would you have stayed? Would you trade your mental health for a shot at fame? Or would you walk away, knowing people would call you ungrateful, dramatic, or weak? Because this story isn't really about American Idol. It's about what we expect from people chasing dreams on TV. We cheer for them to rise, but we rarely ask what it costs when they do. And maybe that's the most terrifying part of all.